Now, there's a neuroscientific reason as to why people who don't have an inner monologue, don't have a voice in their head, are smarter than you, even though you have one. Unfortunately for you, intelligence is not defined by how much your brain chatters. It's only a mode of thinking. And there are other modes of thinking. For example, you could think visually with no words, where you spend your time imagining things. Now, one thing you'll notice around high performers is that they'll constantly say that when the voice in their head quiets down, they often reach their peak performance states. Athletes, musicians, military men in battle, high-level meditators, mathematicians, artists, they'll all discuss this phenomenon of entering flow state. And this is where the inner voice will turn off and they'll begin to see the matrix and act purely on instinct. And of course, there's many little factoids that back up why this experience is so universal because, for example, verbal thinking tends to be quite slow. It is, of course, very valuable in its own way, but it forces us to be very linear and clunky and try to categorize everything that is going on. Imagine if you had to describe everything you saw in the room every time you walked into it. It'd take you an hour to get through your house. Whereas visual thinking is way, way faster. You walk into a room and you can get a snapshot of it and figure out exactly what the situation is. A picture says 1,000 words, as the old saying goes. Now, that's not to say that verbal processing is bad. You should try get rid of that part of your brain. You should try do everything visually and walk around like a mystic, although it might be fun. Ideally, you want to have all parts of your brain functioning in the highest level. But there is a problem with verbal processing, with word cells. They tend to be the more arrogant of the pair. They tend to be the ones who think the supremacy of the word rules over all, and they are the ones that are mistaken. They are often the ones getting in the way of the highest states of consciousness. It is always valuable to remember that the Buddha worked long and hard to discipline his chattering brain so he could experience the cessation of mindless mental blathering, so he could finally arrive in the infinity and the bliss of the present moment.